Now, in this background, I would like to emphasize upon the fact that if I start any treatment plan of the diabetes, and if diet prescription is not in the part of the treatment plan, there are chances that there is going to be the failure to the treatment. And so, aptly we are going to include in our discussion about what is the crux of diet management in diabetes and what are the small things that we can substitute in our prescription, in our patient's diet, which would help him in having good control over longer duration of time. Whenever a patient comes to me, I simply say them that, see, there are chances that whatever treatment that I give you is going to fail over time, because diabetes is a progressive disease. And unless we try to address the pathophysiology by a strict lifestyle modification, which includes diet, exercise, and reduction of stress, any management plan, whatever it be, is going to fail, and we will have to escalate the treatment one by one. So, diabetes and its management essentially starts with lifestyle management. It is the lifestyle management only which is going to reduce the insulin requirement. It is the lifestyle management only which is going to increase the insulin sensitivity. You know, there are drugs which are doing it, but if patient has a systemic exercise program which will keep his fats burning, which will keep his cells activated, which will keep his muscle cells open so that GLUT2 receptors are working properly and glucose goes inside the muscles properly, insulin sensitivity will remain maintained. Similarly, if in diet we are not giving too much of calorie, if we are not giving food of high glycemic index, response of the patient to the glycemic load or to the food would be different. Patient will have better insulin release and patient will have better sensitivity to whatever amount of insulin which has been released, and thus will have better glycemic control. So low calorie diet, reducing sedentary habit, exercise forms the foundation of all the treatment. Lifestyle interventions with diet leading to weight loss and delay in the onset of diabetes are another aspects that has to be considered. And the other important factor which is associated with lifestyle modification is the associated complications which occur in patients of diabetes. Sedentary lifestyle is considered as smoking equivalent. It leads to increased incidence of cardiovascular events in future. Organized lifestyle management consisting of all these three factors put together has not only importance in reducing the insulin resistance and improving the diabetes control, but also reduces the risk of cardiovascular events, reduces the onset and progression of complications associated with type 2 diabetes. Now, lifestyle modification as part of guidelines have been there consistently, may it be American Diabetic Association, American Association of Clinical Endocrinologists, RSSDI guideline. You will see that in each and every guideline, lifestyle modification is the first management plan which has to be included when we are treating patients of diabetes. And when talking about lifestyle management, we have to balance we have to balance the balanced diet and physical activity. So going to the diet and diabetes, let us have some practical problems which we are facing as an Indian at this point of time. There has been rapid change in the diet and food consumption pattern, which is mostly because of urbanization, transition in global food availability, and affordability of the food products. We have been a population who have underfed throughout the years, and thus we do have thrifty genes in our body, which is tuned to make us sustain on low calorie diet, which has tuned us to stay fit on low diet. However, with urbanization, with increased affordability, our diet pattern has changed from the high legumes, high vegetable, coarse grains, whole grains that we used to take in past to high calorie diet, high polished diet, processed food, increased meat, increased animal product, low consumption of vegetable, increased sugar. There are cold drinks around, there are many other drinks around, and as we are becoming an affluent society, as our economic condition is improving, we are moving towards more processed food, which are really not good as far as diabetes management is concerned, or as far as causation of diabetes is concerned. Medical nutrition therapy is an integral component, and one size does not fit all. We have to individualize the medical nutritional therapy. When we think of individualizing the medical nutrition therapy, we have to promote and support healthful eating pattern, emphasizing a variety of nutrient dense product in appropriate portion of size. We need to address individual nutritional needs. However, we need to maintain the pleasure of eating also. So providing non-judgmental message about food choice, limiting food choice only when indicated by scientific evidence are some important things that we should consider. And we should try to provide practical tools to our patients so that they develop healthy eating pattern rather than focusing on individual macronutrients, micronutrients. Now let us go one by one to the diet prescription. First of all, we need to assess the patient and identify what type of diet is he taking. What are the main source of their macro and micronutrients? We need to take proper medical history. Is he taking minerals, vitamins, laxatives? And we also need to find out what are the behavioral history like stress level and physical activity. Going to the first macronutrient as carbohydrate, we all have to understand the glycemic index of food being taken, and we need to educate patient about the importance of glycemic index. Consumption of high glycemic index meal is associated with less satiety, and that leads to voluntary increase in energy intake, and ultimately less satiety and increase intake leads to more calorie and contributes to development, weight gain, and thus development of diabetes in future. The current recommendation for carbohydrate content in Indian patients are in the range of 50 to 60%, and we have ample of data which is suggesting that Indians are bad in terms of taking carbohydrate. And across the whole India, you take North India, West India, South India, or East India, Central India, in each and every part of India, India is united by high carbohydrate intake, and usually the carbohydrate intake in Indian population are in the tune of 65 to 70%. So let us understand what are the factors which affect glycemic index of the food. What type of carbohydrate is it? Is it a simple carbohydrate which goes immediately into the stomach and intestine, gets digested and absorbed easily and fastly, or is it a complex carbohydrate or a complex starch which takes its own sweet time to digest and gradual release of glucose occurs? Rate of ingestion, we are voracious eater. We tend to finish our meal in 5 minutes. We tend to finish our meal in 10 minutes. Let me tell you, if the meal rate of taking meal is slow, satiety comes early, satiety comes at lesser amount of food. So we need to educate our patients also, we need to educate ourselves also that we need to have a slow eating pattern. Another important factor influencing glycemic index is ripeness of fruit. If fruit is too much ripe, it is digested easily and absorbed easily. Similarly, if I am eating fastly, the amount of food being delivered to the abdomen is fast and there will be fast absorption. Then there are some cooking methods which has to be individualized, because overcooking or moist cooking leads to increase in the glycemic index. Now, what are the factors which affect glycemic index? Simple carbs like sugar, they have high glycemic index, whereas complex carbs have low glycemic index. Now, let us see what are the examples of high carb and less fiber diet and what are the replacement which are available. In northern part of India, we are used to refined flour, that is maida, but it can be replaced by high carbohydrate and moderate fiber foods like whole wheat, jowar, barley and kuttu. Less fiber, less carb and high fiber diet, lal chana, rajma, chole. So these are the replacement which we can suggest our patients when we talk about their diet and when we talk about alternative foods that these patients can take. You can see almost in each part of the country there are some high carb and less fiber diet which gives a lot of taste to the patient and they are used to taking it. We need to educate them. We need to tell them what are the food which has got moderate fiber and high fiber, and we need to educate them that we should replace those foods with high fiber diets and less carb diets. Similarly, in western part, south part, we have seen it. Now, let us understand some facts about how to change the glycemic index of the food that is being consumed. So, starchy food vary widely in their glycemic response. Amylose, amylopectin ratio change physiological response which could influence blood sugar level. Now, pulses have high amylose starch and are associated with low glycemic response, whereas potato has high amylopectin starch and are associated with higher glycemic response. So they are considered as bad starch. Now, there are simple methods by which we can convert bad starch into good starch. That is, food of high glycemic index into low glycemic index. The food can be slow in their absorption. So, cook starchy food, cool it overnight and reheat at low temperature to increase the amount of resistant starch and thus lower the glycemic index. So if rice is kept into the cold and reheated next morning, you are going to make complex starch or resistant starch, and so the absorption will slow down. Cooling of cooked white rice increases resistant starch content. Cooked white rice cooled for 24 hours at 4 degrees C and then reheated lowered the glycemic response compared with freshly cooked white rice. Now, this is a very good example which suggests that even if you reduce a meal, that is breakfast, with a low glycemic index food, the effect is not only during the postprandial phase of breakfast, but also in postprandial phase of second meal. Beautifully, it has shown that when a food of low glycemic index is given and high glycemic index is given, and both these groups are given standardized second meal, those patients who received low glycemic index breakfast had lesser postprandial excursion with the same standardized second meal. So a meal with low glycemic index has a lower postprandial glycemic response during the first and is capable of lowering the glycemic response in standardized second meal. Now, what are the factors which affect the glycemic index? Ripeness of the fruit, I have already told that low glycemic response of underripe fruits are there, with overripe fruits having high glycemic index. Slightly underripe fruit like banana, mango and chiku are advised to the patients. Fruit are a source of carbohydrate, simple sugar, who do not provide protein and fats. If fruit is consumed with meal, carbohydrate content is increased. This can cause a spike of the blood sugar. Factors affecting glycemic index: method of cooking, steam cooking versus dry heat cooking. Dry heat cooking decreases the glycemic index. Now with the background of carbohydrate, let us move to the second macronutrient, that is protein. And starting a meal with a protein source followed by a carbohydrate source help in early satiety and maintain postprandial glucose control. So what I want to say that if a patient starts his morning breakfast with some protein diet and then he takes carbohydrate diet, he feels satiety early. So the amount of food consumed is less, and so he will have better postprandial glucose control. Ingested protein appears to increase insulin response without increasing plasma glucose concentration. Reducing the amount of dietary protein below the recommended daily allowance is not advised because it does not alter glycemic measures, cardiovascular risk, so adequate amount of protein should be given. The recommended daily protein intake is 10 to 15% of the total calorie being given. Non-vegetarian source of protein: egg, chicken and fish. Vegetarian source of protein, I'm not going to talk individually what amount is content in which protein, in which gram. It has to be individualized. So it is milk, it is paneer, pulses, dahi, soya beans. So these are the rich source. Curd, these are the rich source of protein which we have from vegetarian diet. So that as a, now moving to the fat. Fat should be used in moderation while cooking. So it says moderation. Use it but in less amount. And reheating of the fat forms trans fat, and reheating of the fat should be discouraged. Fat quality is equally important and it should be considered. Saturated fatty acids, polyunsaturated fatty acid and monounsaturated fatty acid all should be present in appropriate amount. We should consider that saturated fatty acid are least, that is less than 7%. PUFA is about 10%, and MUFA, monounsaturated fatty acid, in 10 to 13% of the patients. Dietary recommendation for fat is 20 to 30% of the total calorie intake. Fat quality is more important than quantity, and we have to consider that patients take monounsaturated and polyunsaturated fatty acids. Mustard oil is a very good oil which consists of both monounsaturated fatty acid and polyunsaturated fatty acids. However, there are other oils also, and we are often asked in our clinic that which fat or which oil should be used by the patients. So we have to tell them that you should keep on mixing the oils, changing the oils, and those oils which are high in MUFA and PUFA, like mustard oil, groundnut oil, rice bran oil, peanut oil, sesame oil, sunflower oil, we need to mix them up so that adequate amount of MUFA and PUFA is achieved. Increased amount of omega-3 fatty acids and monounsaturated fatty acids should be advocated in our diet, and decreased amount of omega-6 fatty acid has to be taken into consideration. Saturated fats like butter, ghee, lard, skin of the poultry, red meat should be discouraged. Minimal amount should be given. Trans fat, absolute no to trans fat. Bakery products, banaspati, dalda, donut, ready to eat, processed food, deep fried foods like samosa, bhajiyas. We Indians have a very sharp tongue, and we like these French fries and chips. Actually, these habits have to be incorporated from childhood itself. We need to not only treat the diabetes, but we need to prevent the development of diabetes, and thus diet education, choice of the food, choice of the carbohydrate, choice of the protein, choice of the fat source had to be educated in general population. And when patient reaches to our clinic, they are very responsive, and we need to just educate them that we should not limit this healthy diet to themselves but to their whole family, so that nobody develops this. Regional oil uses: north mustard, soybean; east mustard, south coconut oils, west groundnut oil, safflower oil, soybean oils. Regional uses: so groundnut oil, canola oil, sesame oil, rice bran oil, these are the oils which can be taken. Now let us move to some tips and tricks that we can share with our patients. Use of appam maker instead of frying. So we need to educate them that instead of steaming, go for grill. You make it complex. You use non-stick cookware so that amount of fat being used is less. So the key take-home messages are: we have to do a stepwise modification. Drastic modification suggestions are expected to fail. So do not make drastic changes. Set small goals and aim to achieve them. Reduce calorie based on meal assessment. Try to individualize the nutrition therapy. Try to understand what type of food the patient is taking. Based on that, we need to individualize the nutritional therapy. Provide alternative food choice, keeping cultural preferences in mind, and reduce the portion size. That is most important part. Health risk assessment will make the patient more aware of her health. So we need to set a goal for the patient for lifestyle modification. Essential components are nutritional assessment, achievable and acceptable goals, nutritional intervention, proper education, and key factors that are common among all nutritional patterns are: emphasize on non-starchy vegetable, minimize added sugar and refined grains, and choose whole food over the highly processed food to the extent possible. Thank you very much for your patient hearing. I will hand over the procession to the moderator, Dr. Mahesh Madnani sir, for further deliberation.